All right, good to see you all. Good afternoon. Hope you're doing well. And the week is flying by. Hard to believe it's already Thursday afternoon. We're going to do a Rashi this afternoon from Parsha Shmini, which is our Parsha, not a Rashi. Just get it up. Here we go. Okay, going to do a Rashi from the fifth Aliyah, actually from the very beginning of the fifth Aliyah today. I want to build off a Rashi that I actually taught this morning in Shul. Some of you may have heard the beginning of this Rashi, but I want to connect it to another Rashi and put all these pieces of the puzzle together. Of course, we're dealing with the aftermath of the death of Nadav and Avihu on the 8th day of the Miluim, the 8th day of the inauguration of the Mishkan, Rosh Chodesh Nisan, the day on which the service of the Mishkan transferred over from Moshe Rabbeinu to Aaron and his children. Nadav and Avihu go a little bit too far. Unfortunately, they're punished, they're killed. Aaron and his other two sons, Elazar and Itamar, are left in mourning and in a strange state where they don't quite know what to do or how to behave regarding the rest of the sacrifices of the day. Here it is a festive day, a wonderful day, a day in which they're supposed to be involved in the korbanos and eating the korbanos, and yet they're in a state of aninus, they're in a state of avelus. And one of the restrictions upon them in that state is actually from eating meat. So how could they participate? So it seemed clear to everybody that some of the sacrifices of that day, of the 8th day, were very unique, once in a lifetime sacrifices, what Chazal call kodshei sha'a, temporary sacrifices that they absolutely had to do. And they felt that those sacrifices would override the restrictions of Aninos that had fallen upon them on that day, and therefore they should engage in eating of those sacrifices. However, there was a third sacrifice, which is the sacrifice of Rosh Chodesh. There was three korban chatases brought on this day. There was the korban of Nachshon, who was the nasi for that day, was bringing the inauguration korbanos. Then there was the korban chatas of the inauguration ceremony itself, which was commanded at the beginning of this parsha. And then there's the seir chatas of Rosh Chodesh. As Rashi explains over here, seir musfei Rosh Chodesh, shlosha seirim chatos karvu b'ayom. There were three seir chatas sacrifices brought in the day. Chu seir izim, the seir nachshon. The first one is the one for that day, which is the beginning of this parsha, beginning of Shmini, describing the korban of the inauguration day. And that's supposed to be brought by Aaron and his children. The seir nachshon, the korban of Nachshon, of the prince who brought that day's sacrifices, that day's gifts, as part of the initiation, or the first 12 days of Nisan, each of the Nesiim brought, and seir Rosh Chodesh. And the seir of Rosh Chodesh, because it happened to be Rosh Chodesh Nisan. And so in their minds, a machlokas broke out between Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron about the nature of this third sacrifice. Everyone understood that the kodshei shah, the temporary sacrifices brought specifically for the inauguration of the Mishkan by Aaron and by Nachshon, had to be eaten by the Kohanim, even though they were in a state of aninus, because this was a once-in-a-lifetime thing. However, the third korban, the korban chatas of Rosh Chodesh, Moshe Rabbeinu was perplexed as to why Aaron and his children did not partake of that korban. They burnt it up instead. He thought that they should also be obligated, because of their status and position, to override their aninus and eat it. Whereas they thought that since it's not a temporary sacrifice, it's just the regular Rosh Chodesh sacrifice, they could just skip it and do it the next month. They didn't have to eat of that korban. And therefore, Mikulan lo nisraf elazeh, the only one that was burned was this one, the Rosh Chodesh one, right? But it's seir hachatat darosh darash Moshe. When he sees the seir chatas of Rosh Chodesh being burned, darosh darash, he investigated it. He investigated because he didn't agree with what was going on, and he finds hinei soraf. He sees that it's burned. Vayiktzov al Elazar v'Itamar b'nei Aaron hanotarim leimor. Madua lo achaltem es hachatas b'makom hakodesh? Ki kodesh kodashimi. He gets very upset at them, and he says, why didn't you eat this chatas in the holy place, just like you were commanded to atone for the Jewish people, etc.? So this is part of the debate between Moshe and Aaron and his children about what happened to this third sacrifice. They're on different sides of the coin in terms of different sides of the debate in terms of what should have been done, and Moshe is very upset. I don't want to focus too much on that debate now, that machlokas now, but I want to focus on the way the pasuk addresses the issue. It says here, Vayitzof al Elazar va'al Tamar b'nei Aharon hanosarim lemor. Moshe Rabbeinu only gets mad at Elazar and Itamar. Now, that itself is strange. Aaron was really also responsible, culpable for this mistake in the eyes of Moshe. Moshe is getting upset. He should have gotten upset at Aaron and Elazar and Itamar. There's no reason to distinguish between them. To add insult to injury, to make the problem even worse, not only is Aaron left out of the Vayiktzov, the anger moment, but later when the group of Kohanim, respond to Moshe and telling him why they didn't eat it, the pasuk says, "Vayidaber Aharon el Moshe." The only one responding is Aaron. So, okay, if Aaron was left out in the beginning, Moshe gets mad only at Elazar and Itamar, and we don't know why Aaron's left out, but he's left out. And then Elazar and Itamar respond to Moshe. I would understand the story. It would be strange, but I would understand the story. Now it's doubly strange. Not only is Aaron left out of the original conversation, but now Elazar and Itamar are left out of the response to the conversation. So it's doubly strange. So Rashi explains all of this step by step. And it's all about honor. It's all about kavod. It's all about respect. Why does Moshe only get mad at Elazar and Tamar? Rashi says, "Bishul kvodo shel Aaron hafach panav neged habanim v'ka'as." Because of Moshe's great respect for his older brother Aaron, when he gets mad, he doesn't direct his anger to Aaron. He only directs it to the sons. Even though technically speaking, he was upset at all of them, in order to preserve the kavod of Aaron, he addresses only Elazar and Itamar. Now, when it comes to the response, Vayidaber Aaron el Moshe, only Aaron responds. Why? Efshar Moshe cuts off Elazar v'Tamar v'Aaron medaber. Why is it that Moshe gets mad at Elazar and Itamar, and Aaron is the one that responds? Oops, sorry. Accidentally clicked. Hayadata shelo hayta zo ela midas kavod. You should know that this is also because of honor to Aaron. Amru, the children said, Eino bedin she avinu yoshev va'anu medabrim lefanav. Eino bedin she talmid meshiv es rabo. This is doubly disrespectful for us to respond. Number one, for us to respond to Moshe in the presence of our father without giving him the opportunity to respond is disrespectful. And answering back to our teacher, to our Rebbe, Moshe, would also be disrespectful. So really, all of the oddities of this story, the reason Aaron is left out is because Moshe is worried about his kavod. The reason why only Aaron responds is because the children are worried about the kavod of their father and their uncle. Makes for a fascinating interchange here in a very heated moment, in a very anger-filled moment, in a very tenuous moment. Despite people's emotions, they're all worried about each other's respect. And to me, that is so telling and so beautiful that even the worst moments for people, when they can focus on their values and focus on what's right and focus on other people and respect, that really shows that it's part of their essence. It's part of who they are. These people were trained well in Midos. Aaron was the Ohev Shalom, and Rodev Shalom was a person who loved peace, who loved people, who respected people, and so was Moshe. And that was clearly conveyed to their children as well, which is why the whole interaction here, even in the midst of Vayitzof, is with ultimate respect for everybody involved. Very, very important lesson for all of us. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
Thank you, Rabbi.
I just want to make sure you teach us at the youth minyan.
I'll try my best.
A comment that this is very interesting that it came right after the death of Nadav and Avihu, because wasn't one of the Mephoshim saying because they did not give respect to Moshe?
Yes.
Thank you, so it's interesting that it was like, and then this happened.
Thank you for remembering that, and thank you for mentioning that. And I'm so happy you did, because it's actually what I said this morning in my Rashi shul. It's a perfect ending to the story.
It is.
We learned the Rashi that Nadav and Avihu were killed because they were hora halacha bifnei Rabban. They were disrespectful by teaching the halacha in front of Moshe, and now Elazar and Tamar learned the lesson and didn't teach the halacha in front of Moshe. It's a perfect ending to the story. Thank you.
Okay. Take care.
Have a good one.